BodyBags, where horror lies.
I'm your thirsty guy for BodyBags, and this week I am doing Jacob's Hammer. And it's okay, you know, it's an okay movie. A lot of this dialogue and script in this movie was really off, but the storyline I think was fine. The music was, I guess, okay. The effects were very cheap, and yeah. So the storyline of the movie is that there's this lady who, I'm pretty sure in the synopsis says that she's a babysitter, but I'm like, I might have looked at the wrong synopsis, so I'm just gonna go off what I saw in the movie. She's a single mom, or at the very least an adoptive type single mom, and the child is acting more and more strange, and she starts having more and more nightmares about what may be coming. And by the time the movie's done, I actually was like, hey, that was actually really interesting. I'm gonna spoil this movie, but two things: one, it's on Tubi, so go and watch it, and two, it was the storyline was, I think, solid, but yeah, for the most part, everything else was kind of dull. So I'm gonna spoil now, and if you're still here, you're gonna find out that Jacob was never real. Apparently, how the real storyline goes is that she is taking care of Jacob, whatever, but in reality, Jacob's not real, and so whenever she ever brings up Jacob to her, to anyone that knows the situation, they're like, oh, okay. So, you know, that builds up and whatnot into her basically going crazy because of Jacob. In which case, you know, she's going just further down a rabbit hole in her mind. So she's getting her more and more crazy, right? And I thought it was interesting because that seems to be how it's supposed to be. And my mindset on it is that they knew that Jacob wasn't real, so they let her go crazy. Her mom, sister, boyfriend, the priest in this movie, there's a priest in this movie. It seems that either everyone was doing two things, either or. One, they were trying to ignore that she's crazy, or trying to pretend it's not real or it doesn't matter. Or two, they accepted that, yeah, you got a child, when she really doesn't. So by the time the movie's over, everyone's dead or about to die. Well, so I thought that was actually kind of relevant to today, because let's go back a bit. I think 19 or 20 was when Joker came out, and when that came out, people were like, mental illness, we gotta, talk about mental illness. But they never want to talk about the mental illnesses that can end up changing how a person looks because they think that they don't look right. You know what I mean? Because it's you're not affirm. I was trying to, going back. Everyone in the movie was either ignoring her or ignoring that fact or affirming that fact. Anyways, back to now. A lot of people are just affirmed like that, and maybe there's like one or two people that genuinely feel like they're, say, I don't know, in the wrong body. But I think a lot of people are just misguided nowadays. Because there's like a bunch of people that are like in their 30s, 35 kind of thing, that are like, I made a terrible mistake. And it's like, well, yeah, you did, but at the same time, it wasn't really you because you didn't really understand. Better yet, didn't really have a choice because you're 18, 17, 16, whatever, right? You didn't know, you didn't understand. By the time you did, it's a little too late. And so I would say this movie was like kind of interesting in that because, you know, she has a mental illness and they're letting it happen, you know, or affirming or pretending it doesn't exist. Either or really is not good, especially if it escalates. And it ends up escalating to the point where she ends up killing everyone because of Jacob, who's the mental illness. And it's like, I don't know. It just seems really... Because this movie, I want to say... This movie actually might have... This movie either came out in 2014 or it came out last year. To be completely honest, I couldn't really tell you right now. But if it did come out this past year, then I think the people that made it were thinking about that, and I think that was really interesting. That's how they ended up playing it. So, I guess, you know, before I talk about some just small stuff about the movie, if I had to rate it right now, I would probably give it a 6.5. Because, you know, it's like, when you look at everything about this movie, it's like, it's silly, or it's funny, or it's like, okay, you're right. But the one thing that was, like, really interesting, really good, in my opinion, was the storyline. In which case was, yeah, that was pretty good. So just some funny things about the movie. One of the victims, so one of the victims ends up wrapped up in some kind of like plastic, and their eyes are gouged out, and then has tape over her eyes or whatever, I don't know. Point is that she's in a room, she doesn't know who's coming in, who's going out kind of thing. So when the killer, you'll find out like at the end of the movie that she ends up killing everyone. When the killer ends up coming into the room, she doesn't realize that, you know, it's the killer. So she's like, please help me, you know, can't really see, right? And the killer, dude, I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I really saw this kind of a kill, and just, I thought it was hilarious. Killer, huh? And I guess that could be effective. I just never saw that before in a movie, and I thought that was kind of like, what? Because I think the killer does that again later on. But the point is that like, it's like, come on, you can't, when you go and watch the movie, you're gonna think that's funny too. Or like, it's just gonna really be so off, right? Trying to think if there's anything else that's like, hey, there's one of those scenes, one of those spicy scenes, there you go. Except they don't really show anything, it's just, you know, I guess it's dry, I don't know, you don't see anything, it's just, you know, her underwear or whatever. And then, like, the guy takes his shirt off, and, you know, whatever. But, like, it doesn't, like, go forward with that. The mom in this movie, well, not the mom, the main character in this movie always takes these showers, but you don't see anything in the showers. It's just, her back or the side of her legs or, something like that. So it's like, there's no nudity, but there is that one spicy scene, so, there's that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, overall, it seems that, everything about the movie was silly, or it was funny, or is, poorly done kind of thing, to the point where it was silly, right? So, like, the effects, it's silly. But, when it's all said and done, right? I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of, like, the beginning of the movie. I might be a little off, honestly, because it was just kind of confusing. Crap. But I'm sorry, I was just thinking of the very beginning of the movie. Anyway, I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. I might be going crazy myself. Anyway, everything about the movie was, X, Y, or Z. Well, I would say the storyline or the moral of the story was, like, on point, like, doing really good. So yeah, I would give this movie I guess, I don't know what I said earlier. 6.8, right? It's solid. Definitely check it out. Definitely, if you're still here and you haven't seen it yet, definitely go watch it. But yeah, I'm Sam. I'm your Thursday guy for BodyBags. I did Jacob's Hammer, and that was nailed out of here. I'm just kidding. So it's 6.8. That's final. 6.8 final. That's probably the third different one. 6.8 out of 10. That's final. And I'll see y'all next week.